All right, so today we talked about how to write parallel and perpendicular equations of lines. Okay, so that means basically you're starting with a general equation of a line, and they're giving you another point, and they're telling you either that line goes through that parallel or perpendicular, and then you've got to come up with the equation for that line. Okay, so a couple of key things here. First and foremost, last week whenever we started parallel and perpendicular, okay, we talked about how parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so an example of that would be like if it's y equals 2x plus 5, then a parallel line would be 2x minus 3. So in other words, their slope is the same, their y-intercept obviously is different. Okay, but just the slope has to be the same for them to be parallel. Okay, remember parallel lines are lines that look like railroad tracks, an equal sign, something like that. Okay, perpendicular lines have what we call opposite, reciprocal slopes. All right, what I mean by that, okay, opposite means we're going to change the sign. So if my first slope is positive, my perpendicular slope will be negative. If my first slope is negative, my perpendicular slope will be positive. And the reciprocal means we're going to flip the fraction. Okay, so examples here, let me go over a little bit. Examples here will be like if I have 1/2, then that would be negative 2 over 1. If I have 3/4 or negative 3/4, that would take me to positive 4 over 3. Okay, so there's two operations that have to happen there. You have to change the sign and flip the fraction. Okay, all right, so the first two that we're going to cover are parallel lines. Okay, so remember we talk about parallel is the same slope. So my slope right now is negative 4. So that means that my parallel slope, and I denote that with the M, which is our slope letter, and parallel, okay, is also negative 4. Okay, so go back to whenever we did Unit 2, we talked about just writing equations of lines in general, and we used the formula y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we've got our M, and then they gave us this point, which is going to represent our x and our y, and you need to find the b. We've done that several times in the previous couple weeks. Okay, so negative 4 times negative 2 is going to give me 8. And then we're going to solve for b by subtracting 8. So our b is negative 1. So now what we have, hang on, I don't have a highlighter. Okay, now what we have is our m and our b. And so now you can write your new equation, which is simply y equals negative 4x minus 1. Oops, ripped through my 1. Okay. All right, now number 2 is a little different. There's one extra step here because our equation is not in slope-intercept form. So you can't tell me the slope, y'all, until that equation is in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to start by rearranging that equation to get y by itself. I'm going to move that x. It's going to become negative. And then I'm going to divide everything by negative 3, which is going to give me a positive 1/3 x and a minus 3. So now the slope that I'm looking at is the 1/3. Okay, don't tell me it's 1. Don't tell me that because y is not by itself. You've got to have y by itself. Okay? Now our parallel slope, because they are parallel, will stay 1/3. So now we're going to move to our equation. Our m is 1/3. Our x is 3. We're still looking for b, and our y is negative 1. All right, so just going through what we do in class, we know that these two 3's cancel out. We're going to move that 1 over, and negative 2 is our b. So again, we have our parallel M and our B. Sorry, my highlighter smears that. Y'all, it drives me crazy. And we're going to get y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Okay, so just recap. Slope is negative 4, slope is negative 4. Once I got y by itself here, slope was 1/3, slope is 1/3. Slopes are the same in parallel lines. The y-intercept will be different. Okay? All right, now example 3 and 4 are perpendicular. So when I see this word perpendicular, okay, remember you're automatically thinking opposite and reciprocal. All right, so right now my slope is 2. So for the opposite, so that's M perpendicular, that's our perpendicular symbol. For the opposite, it's going to be negative. Okay, 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1, so I'm going to flip it and it's going to be negative 1/2. So that's the slope that I'm going to use as my m right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and look. Here's my x and my y. So 3 and 4. All right, and we're going to do the math. What is half of 4? 2, but you got this negative, so that's going to make it a negative 2. And then we're going to solve by adding 2. And our b here is 5. So again, here we go. Perpendicular slope is negative 1/2. B is 5. Write your equation. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. All right, number 4. Again, problem is it's not in slope-intercept form, so we need to do that first. Okay, so we're going to move that x over, so that's 3y equals negative 5x minus 21, sorry, divide by 3. But remember that b is not very important to us for these types of problems, okay? So right now my slope is negative 5 over 3. So my perpendicular slope is going to be positive 3 over 5. So that's what we're going to use. Here's our y, positive 3 over 5. Here's our x plus b. Okay, again, the 5's cancel, but don't forget this little negative that's hanging out there. Okay, so those of y'all that are canceling there, a lot of times you forget that negative. All right, cancel the 5's, that's fine, but that negative's got to jump to that 3. Okay, and then we're going to solve, sorry, and our b is 4. Okay, so that's going to give me y equals 3 over 5x plus 4. Okay. Now, those are your basic 4 examples. There's one in slope-intercept form, one in standard form for each problem, parallel and perpendicular. Then we go into our extended examples, okay, and we only did half of these in class. So I might do a few more on our note template for our video. That's fine. Just to give you more practice. So if you were in class and you're struggling, a great point here would be to try the ones that we didn't do. We didn't do 6, 8, 10, and 12 in class. So try those and then come watch my video and see where you went wrong or if you got it right. That would just be a great tool for you to use to make sure you're comprehending and understanding things when you're not inside the classroom. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through 5, 7, 9, and 11 first. Okay, and then you can pause my video and then you can try 6, 8, 10, or 12, whichever one, all a couple, it doesn't matter, and then compare and see if you're fast forward to if you do 8, fast forward till I get to 8, and then see if your final answer is my final answer. And if it's not, go through my steps and let's see where you might have gone wrong. Okay. All right. So here we go. Number 5. 5 and 7 are going to be parallel. So we're using the same slope. Okay. So our parallel slope is going to be 2 for this one. Okay. So we're going to say y equals, which is negative 1 equals, our parallel slope is 2, our x is negative 4 plus b. Okay. So 7 is our b. You've got your m, you've got your b, y equals 2x plus 7. Okay. They're super easy when they're already in slope-intercept form. Okay. All right, so for number 7, we've got to get it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to move my x first. That turns into a positive 1/2 x. Okay, so our m for our parallel slope is positive 1/2 because they are the same. All right, so now we're going to jump into our equation. Here's our y is 5. Our m is positive 1/2. Our x is 4. Oops, sorry. Plus b. Okay, so 5 equals 2 because half of 4 is 2 plus b. Move your 2 over and our b is 3. So again, here we are. Here's our m. Here's our b. Put it together, 1/2 x plus 3. Okay, those are our two parallel ones. Okay, so now I'm going to jump down and I'm going to do 9 and 11, which are perpendicular ones. So remember, perpendicular, y'all have got to read. Okay, a couple of y'all were asking me, like in class, how do we know it's perpendicular? It'll say in the problem, y'all. It has to tell you parallel versus perpendicular, if it intends for you to do those. Okay, all right. So here we go. Our slope right now is 3/4. So our perpendicular slope is going to be -4/3. So that's what we're going to use into our formula. Our y is -3, -4/3. Our x is +3 plus b. 3's cancel, and move your 4. All right. So now again, I've got an m, I've got a b. Here we go. Y equals -4/3x plus 1. Okay. All right. So number 11, second one of the perpendicular ones. Right here, we're in standard form, so we're going to rearrange to get us into slope intercept. Okay, so right now our m is -1/5. So our perpendicular m is going to be +5/1. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to use our y is 3. Our m would be 5/1 or just 5. Our x is 2 plus b. So 3 equals 10 plus b. And 3 minus 10 gives me -7 as my b. So my final answer here is y equals +5x minus 7. Okay, so those are the 4, 2 parallel, 2 perpendicular. We've done a total of 4 parallel, 4 perpendicular. So what I'm going to do is ask you to pause the video here and work out 6, 8, 10, 12, 1, 2, all of them, whatever, and just see where you went right or wrong. Okay, so pause the video now. I'm getting ready to work them out, so don't let it play. It's going to show you. Okay, pause the video here. Give number 6, 8, 10, and 12 a shot. Looking at 5, 7, 9, and 11, same processes. Okay, so just pause the video here, give it a shot on your own, and then come back in and watch my video and see what you got. Okay, so 6 and 8 are parallel. So that means I'm going to be using the same slope. So y is 3, -1/4 times 8 plus b. All right, 8 divided by 4 is 2, so that's going to give me a -2 because of that negative sign. So our b is 5, so our final equation would be -1/4 x plus 5. Okay? You got to get this one in slope intercept form. Move that 5 over. Okay, so right now we've got -5/2. That's what we're going to use. Our y is 7, -5/2 times -6 plus b. Okay, so let's talk about this fractions, kind of give some of y'all an issue. We're just going to do 5 times 6 is 30. Negative times a negative is a positive, so that's +30 divided by 2 is 15. And then when you move the 15, you're going to get that -8 is our b, which gives us the final equation of -5/2x minus 8. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit tomorrow about slope intercept versus standard form. We always put these in slope intercept, and we can convert to standard if the problem needs us to do that. All right, so then 10 and 12 are perpendicular, which means we've got to flip our slope. Okay, so right here, our slope is 1/1. So if I flip that, it's going to be -1/1. Okay, so our perpendicular slope is -1. So y is -2. Our m is -1 times -3 plus b. That gives me a +3. So that gives me a -5. So I've got my m, I've got my b. I can write my answer. y equals negative 1x, or just negative x, remember. Standard test-wise, you won't have that 1 there. It'll just be a negative x minus 5. All right, and our last one, number 12. Okay, so again, we're going to rearrange. Okay, so right now my m is negative 1/3. So my perpendicular m is going to be positive 3/1. Okay, so that's what we're going to use with our x and our y. So negative 6 equals 3 times negative 1 plus b. Okay, so b is negative 3. So now we have y equals 3x minus 3 as our final answer. Okay. Homework tonight was the odd problems only on worksheet 23 to go with that. Okay, rewind the video, pause it where you need to, go back and watch. Make sure you are ready to do some parallel perpendicular in class tomorrow. Okay, have a great evening.